What's up, everybody? I've already got a big smile on my face, James, because I know we're quite far away from it at this point, but we're getting into World Cup territory here. Now, James and I both love the World Cup, and I keep feeling really stupid saying stuff like that because it's the World Cup. You don't meet football fans who don't love the World Cup, unless maybe you have like a bad relationship with the World Cup, like your team's been screwed over a bunch or something like that, but everybody loves the World Cup. So I feel even stupid saying it because it's so obvious. But James, here we are. I think we'll probably call this something like our way too early predictions, right? Because I think we'll probably revisit this nearer the time. A lot can happen in 6 months, a lot, especially in the football world. Guys, you can do all a star player on a football team can do all their cruciate ligaments. God forbid this happens. Argentina are unbeaten in 3 years. Lionel Messi, horrible leg break, something like that. The whole conversation changes about team success. So we will revisit this in the future. But James, these are our kind of way too early predictions. So let's kind of get into it. We've got groups A through H. What James and I are going to do, we're going to pick the team we think is going to go through top, the team we think is going to go through second. And obviously, we'll drop in the third and fourth teams into the conversation because they play a huge part in the group. But we're going to more focus on the guys who are actually going to be getting through to the next rounds. We'll see who's going to go where and why. So James, first of all, let's dive straight into it. Group A, just want to get it up here to make sure we are all ready to go. Qatar obviously hosts, in this crazy World Cup that's been played in November and December. What the hell is that about? Ecuador, Senegal, and Holland, the Netherlands. Who have you got going through? Who have you got going through second? Any kind of interesting storylines in this? This feels like a weird group to me. I don't know about you. You've got good representation from multiple regions, which I really like.
Yeah, you got to be Europe, Africa, South, like South America. And where do you classify Qatar?
It's kind of Arabic areas. It's like Middle Eastern kind of area.
So I feel like it's good representation there. To me, it's a strong group because at the end of the day, people may look at Qatar and be like, oh yeah, they're kind of the whipping boys of the group. But whenever you're the home team, there's always a bit of preferential treatment. There's always little bits going on, a la what happened in the World Cup. No, even in the World Cup with 2002, was it Japan or I'm not sure what country it was. It was one Asian country who got serious.
Maybe Korea.
Yeah, Korea. They went all the way to semi-finals, and remember the Italy game and the Spain game. But I feel like they're gonna get a bit of their treatment there. But I look at it from this point of view is that there's two standout teams there in my eyes. In the team that probably will challenge them the most is Ecuador, but I got Senegal going through and I got Holland going through. But my twist, Jack, is Senegal. I've Senegal
good man.
top.
Good for you.
I've Senegal finishing top of the group, and then Netherlands. Because Jack, the thing about Holland is that yes, they're a great team, and Virgil van Dijk being fit does have a big difference in there. But in recent tournaments, Jack, they just seem to underperform on so many occasions.
Yeah.
And I won't be surprised a thing where they go ahead and win both games, and let's say Senegal may pip them through goal difference or something like that. But I just feel like Senegal will play with a bit more freedom than Holland, and Holland may scramble through a few games here and there. But I just have, for some weird reason, it's just a weird thing for me. I just have Senegal going through, and probably one of the only African teams maybe going through that. I still have to go through the rest of it, but Senegal going first, Holland second.
Mate, I respect it. I'm not massively against it. I'm not going to lie. And excuse me, everybody, for cheating here, but I've got a kind of a Senegal squad list or potential squad list up here. Start the goalkeeper position, Edouard Mendy. You arguably, there's certainly people out there who would say that you've got the best goalkeeper going into the competition. And that's very, very real. In a World Cup, you need your goalkeeper to come up big. I think that any World Cup winner across kind of the history of the whole tournament, you've never said anybody's gotten by with a goalkeeper either not having to do much or not play a significant part, saving a penalty, making an important save, something of that nature. Goalkeepers are so important. Kalidou Koulibaly still in there. Ballo Touré still at Milan. Abdou Diallo at PSG, Idrissa Gueye also at PSG, Cheku Kouyaté, Keita Balde at Cagliari, Sadio Mane, Ismaila Sarr, and that's without even kind of bringing up some of the guys who are a little further down the list as well. So you have some serious talent in that team, and with attacking talent as well. And James, also, we're looking that they won African Cup of Nations, right?
The reigning champions of Africa. I don't think that they've lost in a while.
No.
To me, they're coming into this tournament with a lot of form there, and you look at players like Sadio Mane, this month in Carlo Koulibaly, this may be their last World Cup to really shine, Jack.
Also, James, if somebody like Mane can hit the ground running at Bayern, obviously we've seen that deal recently agreed, we're potentially looking at, I mean, he is one of the better wingers in world football, of course he is, but if he hits the ground running at a team like Bayern Munich, confidence is just going to be flowing. And you and I talk about this a lot. Guys who win in domestic leagues and are like Salzburg, a team like that, who win all the time in like these lower leagues, when they come up against bigger opposition, week in, week out, they're winning football matches. So they're not going to go in scared of anybody, because on a weekly basis, they win football matches. James, I've got the same as you, but I'm flipping the order. So I'm potentially playing a little safer, and I'll tell you why. That great Ajax team that we love talking about from way back when, that had that great Champions League run. We've got a few of those guys now who are really getting into kind of peak years of their career. Talking about a Matthijs de Ligt, talking about Frenkie de Jong. Again, has it been as amazing as maybe you'd expect? I think people still respect those players as great players, but have they come up as good as maybe you thought they were? For me, Matthijs de Ligt, I was thinking like, man, we got the potential here for like, kind of an all-timer generational talent. I don't think he's quite hit that level yet. Maybe he never will, who knows? But we're getting to that kind of age. And James, the wild card, Louis van Gaal. Louis van Gaal's a great manager, especially in these tournaments. I'm fully expecting him to bring Tim Krul out, come save a few penalties, do all that kind of stuff. Memphis Depay is still a baller and a good attacker. Steven Bergwijn, we saw that great goal from him the other day. So again, Denzel Dumfries at fullback as well. So they have talent across the pitch. This is still Holland. And again, it's a good experienced manager who's dealt with these situations before. So I think it'll be just those little, draws that they turn into wins, or losses that they turn into draws, that for me will just give them the edge. Whereas Senegal are a bit more of a wild card. But James, in terms of quality, comparing them to the likes of, Ecuador and Qatar, no disrespect to those guys, but I think the two teams that we've picked are kind of a level above. Moving on to Group B, England's group. Right, and again, we'll do this kind of chop and change. I'll go first this time, so I'll it's not like I'm just copying James or James is just copying me. James, just gonna come out and say it. Iran, no hope. Sorry, guys. Just not that kind of quality or infrastructure. Again, the motivations playing in these World Cups means you always get these crazy results that end up happening. But for me, there's just not enough quality there. USA. Again, similar kind of thing. I believe that we will win. God's on our side, and all this kind of nonsense that the USA like to kind of come out with. Yeah, they'll be fine, but this is not the most threatening USA team that we've seen from before. They don't have the Clint Dempseys of the world and the Landon Donovans of the world that are kind of the shining hope for the nation as they do anymore. At the moment, it's kind of Christian Pulisic, and I don't even know if Gio Reyna is actually committed to the USA yet. And Josie Altidore, I don't think he's playing in the team anymore. I got England and Wales going through, James. I got Wales going through top, though, mate. I do. I think England beat Iran comfortably, but Wales and America, it's these kinds of games that I think England really struggle in. It's when there's that kind of mental block side of the game that they really, really struggle. And I think a Gareth Bale-led Wales team, nothing is going to make the players who play in the Welsh national team or the fan base happier than beating England. Speak to any Scotsman, any Irishman, any Welshman, hate the English. Of course they do, right? Because especially in sporting terms, on the most part, we're the more dominant side. It's the bigger landmass, right? More infrastructure, usually more funding, all this kind of stuff. I get it. I totally get it. But a Gareth Bale-led team going into that Wales-England game, I'm not backing England. I'm really not. And the USA game, James, too. I remember the World Cup, I want to say 2014?
2010. 2010 when the Robert Green mistake.
Yeah. Am I potentially seeing a repeat of something like that? Yeah, I am. Again, do I think it will be losses? No. But do I think there's the odds kind of scary draw in there? Yeah, absolutely I do. So I've got England going through second. I've got Wales going through top. One of my shockers there.
It's an interesting one for me, Jack, because obviously Iran's the whipping boys of the group. I think Iran America is going to be a great, because we know the history around that, right. Like outside of football, that's going to be quite interesting there. I have England obviously going through, finishing top. Then it's between Wales and America. And Jack, this American team is probably one of the best ever. And I do believe that the youngsters that like they have coming through, like Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, and like and all these guys there, it's great. But I don't think that they're looking towards this World Cup. It's the next World Cup hosted
Right.
in America. This one's kind of like they're just preparing for it. So whatever happens here, it's not going to be that damaging for them. I think they just want the experience, understanding of being in the World Cup. And the next one is going to be where they have to perform and almost win it, which we think is they're not going to do that. So this one is not going to be as big for them. I look at Wales and I look at the players like Aaron Ramsey, like Gareth Bale. You know, these guys who have been there for a long period of time now. This is kind of like their last dance with them. This is it for them. And the fact that they're in a position to make a World Cup and also get out of the group, to me, I see England going through first and Wales following them in second place. Would I be surprised if Wales do England? I wouldn't be, because the way England's confidence, but
I'm saying
confidence in England isn't great right now. But I'm going to give England the benefit of the doubt. We know the quality they have. This is a nice group for them. Each game, maybe if they get, I'm not sure who they play first, even if it's probably Iran or whoever. Just every win gets a bit of confidence for them, and then they get going. But England finishing top, Wales finishing second, and then USA, and then Iran.
Yeah, and James, look, and I think to your point about the USA, guys, I hate to say it, and as much as the rest of the world might kind of roll their eyes and tut at this, the trajectory of American soccer is just going to do that. It really is. There's way too much infrastructure and just like physical and ability and talent available for them to eventually just become like really, really dominant. And with certain sports, waning in terms of their popularity, we all know how brilliant and powerful the sport of soccer, football is. So expect them, like you said, James, 2026. They could potentially be a problem, especially because they've already qualified for it because they're the hosts. So James, what I'm loving so far, we haven't totally agreed on either group, so I'm a big fan of that so far. Let's keep this going. We're going on to Group C. Argentina, undefeated in 3 years. Lionel Messi, also now a Copa America winner as well, so he's got that kind of monkey off his back as well. Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Really tricky group for me, James. I found one of those groups, one of those teams we know we're just going to throw out of the conversation. One of them you'd imagine is a lock, but it's that choice between those other two. Let me know what you think of Group C.
I look at this from this point of view, Jack. Obviously, Argentina, you expect them to go through finishing top of their group. That's not really a problem to me. It's a second place team that you got to look out there. But to you, it's a battle. To me, I think it's quite straightforward. I really, really, really look at Mexico and be like, I'm very much a fan of history. In like your history going through a tournament can play a big part in how you go into this tournament. And Mexico, Jack, have got through in their last 7 or 8 World Cups.
Yeah.
The problem with Mexico is that can they get through that kind of get through the last 16? They've struggled to get through in the last 7 years, being knocked out by Argentina and the lot there, or I think I knocked out by Brazil 4 years ago. Mexico, when these World Cups come around, the quality that they have there. Poland is mainly of a one-man team. We know about Robin Lewandowski and the quality he has there, but I just look at them in the Euros and I was like, mate, did we overrate this team like that? Again, they got nice stars here or there, but I don't see them troubling a team like Mexico. And Jack, I'll take it back to 2 years when Mexico were able to beat Germany. I think Germany. Who else did they? I can't remember the second teams that they beat, but I think they ended up finishing top of their group. Listen, this Mexico team, when it comes to World Cups, when it comes to World Cup group stages, they always come up big. And Jack, they always find a way. In 2010 they end up beating France at that time. So they come up big, and don't be surprised if they're able to shock Argentina, Jack. So, but I have Argentina finishing top and Mexico finishing second.
I'm the same. We can kind of make this one a bit quick. Yeah, James, look, Robert Lewandowski is amazing. There's no doubt about that. But we know what Robert Lewandowski's limitations are. Robert Lewandowski is a finisher and a complete striker purely from a standpoint that he can get you from anywhere. And he is clinical. The guy to a certain extent does not miss. But is Robert Lewandowski at this stage of his career potentially going to be in a position where, like an Erling Haaland, he can just bully people and run past you, or can make a move, create a half yard and finish? It's really not not his game. To a certain extent, really hasn't been his game. He's just this kind of all action centre forward who does lack those kind of individual skills to be able to just do it all himself. He more does it out of pure technical ability at shooting the football into the goal. Mexico, James, again, maybe a bit of a bold statement. Central America, mainly Mexico, but also South America, that kind of region of the world, they love football.
Oh, Jack.
Love football. I'm English, I'm British. We love football in this country. You know, I know that, you know, say Germany, France, all these countries will claim they love football. But guys, in England, we love a bit of tennis, we love a bit of rugby, we love a bit of cricket, we love all this golf, we love all Matt Fitzpatrick, shout out to him for winning the US Open last night. But like, James, these countries, that's it. Mexico in particular, it's football, and you don't play any other sports. You don't.
Well, like baseball too, but
it's a proper passion. So even if the name's on the list, I mean, again, Chucky Lozano, you've got in there. Obviously, I know he's come back from a pretty big injury, but Raul Jimenez is still in there, who can still be very, very dangerous. Lots of young players in there, which I know people are very, very high on, but they've not made that next step in their career. But like you said, there is something about Mexico in the World Cup. There just is. And Poland, again, I think it's just going to be a step too far. And when Robert Lewandowski decides to kind of, you know, hang up his boots there at some point, it's going to be a tough road for Poland to come back. So James, I'm going to copy you on that one. I've already got that penned in for Group C. Right, let's move on to Group D now. Now, this is kind of an interesting one as well, because I would say, again, there's a clear standout. I think we all know who that's going to be. But then the other three teams are relatively close, I would say. So you've got Group D, you've got France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. Who have you got going through with France, James?
Now, Jack, I was going to do what I usually do, you know, just mess up the whole thing. And, you know, there's always logic to my madness, Jack. There's always logic to my madness, yeah? You look at the last 3 World Cup winners.
Oh, don't do this.
They end up getting knocked out in the group stage. And Jack, Germany 4 years ago, yeah? Italy, Spain, what's it called again? 8 years ago. And
yeah,
Italy,
look, I'm not doubting, you know, the history and the precedents. I just, every time, but you know what? If we did this video before every World Cup and you would say it, I'd say the same thing. I'd go, no way. But you'd be proven right, wouldn't you?
Do you know what? The maddest thing about it, Jack, is that I look at the group and I'm like, surely there's no disturbance there. There's no team that I'm going to go, ugh. But you know what? I'm a man for surprises. Yep. I'm going to say.
I don't believe this.
Okay, I'm going to say Denmark will finish top of the group.
Man.
And I want in my heart to say that France won't make it out of this group, because it's not a great group, Jack. It's not great.
That's what I'm saying.
But Germany a few years ago, they had North Korea, they had who they had Mexico, and I can't remember I think it was Sweden, and they end up finishing bottom or like third. I'm just gonna go France to finish second.
Oh, dude, thank God for that. I was gonna say you and I need to have a conversation.
No, but Jack, it's the history behind it. It's true.
I get it. I totally get it. And the thing is, like you say, there's precedence for it. Not just the last one, the one before, the one before.
And one before that.
That's the thing. It's like, you know, history would be on your side for this one. That's what's crazy. That's what I can't believe. And I have no rationale for why this is the case. Some people might say, complacency, whatever. I mean, James, look, another great example. The winners of the Euros aren't in the World Cup this year. So there's definitely a certain level of like complacency that maybe you get.
And Jack, let me tell you this right now. You talk about complacency. Who's the most complacent side in this whole World Cup? To me, it's France. You look at you look at their performance in the Euros, the way that they were cruising so many times against Switzerland and still end up winning the game, and still end up losing the game. Jack, they played 3 games in this Nations League. They haven't won a game yet.
No.
You know? And it's like, we know what goes on behind the scenes with the camp and the feuds between different players, the egos there. Sometimes the manager fails to take care of the egos. We know what this France team is like. We know what previous French teams were like.
Right.
Remember in 2002 when they were defending champions, they failed to win the game, and in Senegal ended up beating them. We remember the debacle in 2010. If any team is capable of blowing up, it's this French team, Jack. Let's be honest.
No, mate, you're right. Look, there's a lot of personalities in that team that think they're bigger than the clubs they play for, than the nations that they play for. I have no doubt. Whether they'll admit it or not is a different level and a different conversation. But for me, no, look, I agree with you. You got Paul Pogba's releasing a documentary talking about being disrespected at Manchester United. It's like, hey, dude, why don't you play some decent football, and then we'll talk about you being disrespected. But anyway, I'm the same as you, but again, I'm flipping it. I've got to take France top. Look, James, everything is on your side here. The history, everything you've said is bang on. You have proof. Proof is in the pudding for this, but there's too much quality.
Again, that's what, the only thing is that just the quality is ridiculous, Jack.
But I'd have said that before. Germany, too much quality. Too much quality. So it's the same thing. So trust me, I get it. Look, Denmark, justification just ahead of Tunisia. Kasper Schmeichel's a great goalkeeper. Is he quite like his dad? No. But in terms of some of his achievements, I mean, my goodness, he's done a very good job. He's done his dad proud, that's for sure. Joachim Andersen, who's obviously just signed for Crystal Palace last season. Yannick Vestergaard, Andreas Christensen, who we'd imagine is going to be a new Barcelona football player there as well. Nikolai Boulson at fullback as well. Christian Eriksen coming back. He's probably going to re-sign with Spurs, a Manchester United or a Brentford. That's the news that's come out recently. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, you know how much of a big fan I am of him in the middle. Martin Braithwaite, Barcelona legend up top, right? You got him in there. They've got fantastic talent largely across the entire pitch. Norgard in there from Brentford, Thomas Delaney, Kasper Dolberg. Denmark are a talented football team. It's not top tier talent, but there's the odd name where you go, ooh, they're nice. That's a nice option there for them.
That's why I have them finishing, because I just think in a game against France, I can see them easily doing France one or two.
Well, James, are they going to give up any easy chances?
No.
They're not. And are they capable? Are they capable of scoring a goal from a set piece or a nice breakaway or a deflected? We know how crazy some of these goals need to be in these World Cups. So again, I'm with you on that. And, to talk about, we haven't even mentioned Australia and Tunisia. Australia, we're definitely in a downtrend at the moment for Australian football right now. And Tunisia, again, just lacks the infrastructure and the just general talent amongst the population to kind of hit it at the top level. Also, James, it's another one of those nations where a lot of French players are probably part Tunisian as well. That's the way France have been operating. So we've swapped there again, James. I'm not going to lie to you. So Group C, I think, is the only one we've agreed on so far, which is brilliant. Exciting for me anyway. Group E, I'm going to go first this time.
Jack, Spain. This is what I consider to be maybe the group of death in a way. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not going to lie to you. I tend to agree with you that I'm going to say Group H might be for me. Group H or G might be, because I think those are tough groups. But I like your thinking here. I mean, Costa Rica are a bit of an outlier, but Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. Now, just get it out of the way. Yeah, I've got Germany and Spain, the teams I've got going through. I do have Germany going through top, though. This is not the Spain team to me from old. The talent is still there. There's some guys coming through where you look at and you go, James, my comments recently about Pedri and Gavi, these guys, especially the trajectory they're on, if they stay on that path, we could be talking about legends of the sport. Now, whether they have that discipline to maintain it and continue is a conversation for another day. But for right now, you look at the talent across the board. I mean, they're definitely going somewhere. But I think Germany have felt probably a little bit disrespected recently. And the talent's not there like it has been before. But I think there's a few guys there now who've kind of been there and done it and taken their lumps a little bit, like Kai Havertz, like a Timo Werner in the Premier League, where these guys are ready to come out firing and kind of prove who they are in this new generation. Thomas Muller, you'd imagine, is going to be there. It's a World Cup, so he's going to score a bunch of goals. That's just the way he's wired. But yeah, it's going to be close. Costa Rica and James, Japan are a wild card. We can't ever push them to the one side, but I've got to take the Europeans on that one.
Jack, technically, Japan are one of the best teams in this whole, in the whole of the World Cup. Just the way I remember watching them against Belgium 4 years ago, and I just appreciate the technical ability of each player. I can tell the coaches from young have just taught these guys receiving and tight areas. It's from a coaching standpoint,
culturally
it's beautiful
in Japan,
to see.
Discipline.
Trust me, it's beautiful to see that, and I find it so hard to write them off. But when you have those two juggernauts in there, I personally do think that Germany will finish top. Yeah, okay. The one team that could drop out, Jack, I would not be surprised, is Spain for Japan, but I have Spain going in second.
Yeah, look, I don't blame you there. That to me is certainly one of the easier choices, I would say, going into that group. And again, it's not to try and disrespect Japan or Costa Rica, but you've got these two juggernauts, both of whom have kind of been a little bit disrespected recently in terms of the world conversation, in terms of their talent. And I think both are going to want to put a marker down and be like, hey, we're Germany. We got a lot of stars above this badge. Spain, we got a lot of stars above this badge, and there's a reason for it. Moving on to Group F, kind of a funny group for me. Again, one thing I do like about a lot of these groups, and I know that there's two European teams here, but I love one thing about the World Cup, all these different regions playing each other. It's so fantastic. Stylistically, it's so great. Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. James, who have you got going through and why?
I like this Canada team, Jack. I really do like this Canada team.
Right.
You know, and like what they have there. You know, to be fair, I work with a few players that are from Canada, so I want to back them even more. But okay, Belgium definitely going through. You know,
Sure.
like we know the quality Belgium have. As much as they've disappointed me and underachieved on so many occasions, I have them definitely going through as group winners. I'm just gonna say, just the quality of certain players in that team from that Croatian team, I just have Croatia going through. So Belgium first, Croatia second. I want to say Canada, but I'm gonna stick with Croatia. It's the understanding of being there before. It's a last dance for players like Modric and all these guys. It's the last World Cup. You know, Rakitic, and you know, they're still gonna want to be there. So I'm going to stick with Croatia in second place.
I'll tell you what though, mate, I'm not going to lie to you. I like kind of your thought process there, because when the time comes, we'll have to dig that little clip out of you saying what Canada are about. We might have to give you some love, give you a bit of a pat on the back if Canada do end up going through. Look, James, I'm absolutely sick to death of this Belgium team. I'm sick to death of them. It is if I was Belgian, I would be spitting mad. With the talent across the board over the last 10 years. And also, James, going into the future as well, there's so much talent in this Belgian team. And not just talent like, oh, we've got some really good like players playing in Europe, top 5 leagues, like starters, Champions League level play. Like, no, you have like the best players in their positions, respectively, kind of in all areas.
But Jack, fair play to me, the culture of Belgium and how they were able to grow these players to this point where you got these technically superb players coming from Genk and all these places like Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku, Anderlecht. Like, listen.
I mean, James, even today, even now, I mean, you'd argue you've got the best striker in the world, the best playmaker in the world, and the best winger in the world all on the same team. Like, it's true. And arguably the best goalkeeper. Let's not forget about Thibaut Courtois. So, again, you know, the years of Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Company, like, you know, God, there have been some players who've had their time. Even your Axel Witsels of the world as well have immense talent as well. Raja Nainggolan was
if it wasn't for injuries, Axel Witsels, I don't think people understand how special he is as a midfielder.
Nainggolan is one of my all-time favourite players ever. I mean, we can see what, you know, shirt I got on right now, but Nainggolan is unbelievable. I'm sick of them, because I think we're getting to the end with a large part of that generation there. We just mentioned two players of Witsel and Nainggolan. It's not where it was before. Eden Hazard, I mean, God, the guy can't stay fit ever since his move to Real Madrid. We know what he's been about. Romelu Lukaku, again, I don't think it was necessarily a bad season if we're just comparing it generally, but for Lukaku's high standards, it was a bad season. He's now trying to kind of worm his way back to Inter so that he can be kind of safe in the bosom of where he was playing really, really good football from before. So, and again, Inter Milan, guys, by the way, if they get Dybala and Lukaku, Serie A, watch out, by the way. But I've got Croatia going through top, James. Hard work, talent. Look, we know how successful that they were from before. Yeah, Luka Modric is still that guy. You've still got Kovacic, who I think out of those three guys at Chelsea and Conte, Jorginho and Kovacic, he's currently playing the best football, I would argue, as well, out of those three guys. You know, going forward as well, there's always going to be talent. Ivan Perisic, you know, he's going to have his move to Spurs as well, and you'd imagine he's not going to be the constant starter, so he'll be fresh and ready to go. I just think that with this Croatia team, they never really know when they're beat, and I think that they look around at some of the faces and they get confidence from that. Whereas Belgium, I think it's like they look around and they go, we've already won, right? I mean, look, we got Hazard over there, De Bruyne over there, Lukaku, we've already won. It's like, no, you guys, you still have to win the game. So to me, too much quality for Belgium to miss out altogether, but I do have Croatia going through top.
And Jack, one thing that we've probably failed to mention here is that remember a few 4 years ago when England kind of donut their way to finish second because they could have got an easy run there. Maybe
Right.
a few of these teams may look at the draw and be like, okay, this side is a lot better than finishing top. So we might get that from maybe in England or whoever who might just see
Have you
by us
have
losing.
you have you done research for
N-
that for the next rounds with these? Because I haven't either. I'm not gonna lie to you, I
No,
haven't either.
I haven't too. Maybe we might have to do a part two of that.
It depends. But also, mate, it depends how these shake out, right? Because we don't know. Right now, we don't know how groups are going to go, and usually that's on like the last game week of game day of match day of
Hmm.
the whole group stage. So usually it kind of changes a little late on. So maybe we'd be doing way too much there. So James, for Group F, you've got I've got Croatia going through top, Belgium second. You have Belgium going through Croatia second. James, so far, mate, we have two groups that are the exact same, Group C and Group E. So I'm really happy with our kind of differences of opinion here so far. Moving on to Group G. Now, I know that we're all going to start getting butterflies a bit because we're talking about a World Cup and I'm about to say the name Brazil. Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. James, see, this is the kind of group that I look at that I would argue is potentially the group of death because each of these teams, I think, can beat any of the other teams on any given day. I mean, Brazil are not this consistent, can never be beaten football team. When Brazil are good, Brazil are the best. But when Brazil are
like
bad,
number
Brazil
one. Yeah, but Brazil are number one in the world right now, and
but
squad wise, this is.
if Brazil are bad, they're bad. We've
Oh
seen
yeah,
example the Germany game. Everyone
but
remembers
Jack,
that. That can
that was to
happen.
me when you actually look back at that Brazil team, that was a terrible. When you look at think about the quality Brazil holds. That was
Right.
a terrible Brazil team. This is one of the best Brazil teams I've seen in the last 10 years. We know about your Neymar's, Vinicius Juniors, Rafinha's, Firmino's, Jesus. Jack, this is a
Casemiro is still in
post.
there.
Like Casemiro, as you mentioned, Fabinho. They can do so much with this Brazil team, and it's Brazil, and they've been
Alisson
talking.
or
You know,
Edison, flip a coin, you'd be all right.
Brazil, they love the five, yeah,
Yeah.
but they want to add that six to it, and plus
Yeah.
they
Looks
look over
better.
their
Six
shoulder.
looks better.
Six looks better. They look over the shoulder. Germany's following them, trying to catch them there, so they want to get to six. Jack, it will be crazy of me to say Brazil don't go through. Brazil go through as a group winners. If I'm being truthfully honest, Brazil have played all three of these teams in the last two World Cups in the group stage,
Right.
beating them all. Beating Cameroon in 2014. Uh they beat Switzerland last year in 4 years ago. And I'm not sure when they had Serbia. But I know that they played them in
No,
like a
but
recent.
my favorite thing when you start talking like this, and this is just for everybody at home, does everybody recognize how good James's recall is compared to mine? I'm just sat here like, yeah, I think Brazil quite good. And
No,
James
but
is like, no, they did this, they did this, they did this.
Jack, when I watch something, it's etched, especially when it's football.
I know.
It's just etched.
I know,
It just etched in
photographic,
my
mate.
mind. But yeah, I again, Brazil going through there. The team I finished in second. Got to go for Switzerland, Jack.
Okay.
To me, I look at the quality they have in like certain positions in the striker position. We know about Granit Xhaka there. For some reason, when he puts on that Switzerland top, he turns into just a different
Superman,
football
yeah.
player. He literally, it was like the last Euros, he was unbelievable. I was like,
Yep.
where was this Granit Xhaka playing for Arsenal?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like what they have overall, and I'm talking about tournament understanding. When they're in these tournaments, they always seem to go deep, rather if it's the Euros or a World Cup or whatever. So I have Switzerland going past Serbia.
Yeah, nice, man. Look, I've got Brazil going through top. Shocker, right? In second place, though, James, I got Serbia. And again, I'm going with my heart a little bit here. It's one of my favorite footballing nations. Guys, the amount of Serbian players that I've liked over the history of football, more in the modern era as well, from when I've been growing up and watching football. I love Serbian football players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. James, let's not forget the, what was it? Who did we have? Kolarov, Ivanovic, Vidic, and damn, I'm missing somebody. But there was Neven Subotic, I think, was the other guy. That's a brick wall of a defense right there from the Serbian national team.
Just headed everything away.
Yeah, right. But guys, goalkeeper position solid. Nikola Milenkovic, for Fiorentina as well. You've still got Matija Nastasic, who's also his partner at Fiorentina. There's a really, really nice relationship in there as well. James, also the firepower. I know some of these guys have been kind of letdowns in certain areas, but Luka Jovic, again, I know he's been a letdown at Real Madrid, but we can't forget the guy who was at Eintracht Frankfurt, Alexander Mitrovic as well. Again, he gets into the Premier League and his legs start to shake, but we know what he can do in the Championship, and he's one hell of a player for Fulham. And then also, as James well knows, my two boyfriends in world football, I got Dusan Vlahovic and we've got Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. So these to me, this is a top. Like I say, I'm still standing by it. Dusan Vlahovic for me is right up there with Haaland and Mbappe as strikers, and Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. James, we talk about this guy like we talk about other top 10 central midfielders in the world if he just gets a move away from Lazio. And the only thing that scared teams from doing it is because Lazio want like 80 million euros for him. The moment Milinkovic-Savic decides to leave Lazio and joins one of these big teams, we will start talking about him like we talk about De Bruyne and all these other guys. So
Jack,
Serbia for me.
I'm not going to lie. You kind of swayed me a bit. You kind of swayed me a bit there. When you told me that, I was like, oh, damn.
I know. Mate, there's talent.
But you know what it is?
This is the thing with Serbia, though, James. That's the thing. It's talent always, but they never quite hit it. It's kind of like Belgium for me.
You know, but that's the thing about it. Like, Jack, Switzerland, they know what it's like in these situations, Jack. They just understand that these tournaments, Jack, they always seem to do well in it. While Serbia's been like that, where, listen, Jack, I've liked their teams in so many cases, but I can't remember them having a good run, even getting out of a group stage.
It's true.
And also, to be fair, they did pip Portugal in, like, they qualified ahead of them in the group stages. I mean, in the qualifying stages. So that might be a thing that kind of gives them extra confidence going into the World Cup. Jack, the squad is unbelievable.
Well, James, again, I just want to give you some names for Switzerland to bolster your argument here, because again, it's only when you look at the squad list that you go, oh wow, actually they have some players. It's like Sweden. You look at Sweden's squad list, you go, oh my god, Jan Sommer. Right, Jan Sommer is a great goalkeeper and has been for a very, very, very long time. Manuel Akanji at Borussia Dortmund, Fabian Schär, who's obviously been at Newcastle as well. Granit Xhaka, you mentioned about as well. Xherdan Shaqiri, you'd imagine he's going to still kind of worm his way in and go. He's a game changer.
I don't know how he's still playing. I think he's been around since Euro 2012, 2008.
Yeah, in fact. Feels like it. Brelan Bolo, we know how dangerous he is at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Haris Seferovic as well. And also, as you kind of go a little further down the list, Denis Zakaria, who we know Juventus just signed. He's a game changer as well. So again, this Switzerland team not to be messed with. A lot of these European teams, you know, it's incredible how over the years they just slowly build their talent pool up. And you look at every starting 11, you go, man, this is a good football team. You know, it's tricky to do it.
Jack, do you know what I think it'll be shocked if Brazil don't go through there, but Serbia, Switzerland, some really good teams there. I'm just gonna stay with Switzerland, but damn, Jack, that Serbia team, I will not be surprised if
talent's there. They just don't always hit it properly. And also, James, you can't have all three of those strikers playing on the same team.
Unfortunately for Cameroon, it's gonna be a tough one.
I was going to say, bit of a comment on them. Cameroon can always be dangerous. We look at some of the players they've produced historically. I mean, you start and stop with Samuel Eto'o, and you go, Jesus Christ.
But Jack, you look at this team. It's like it's not as strong as previous teams, if I'm being truthfully honest. And plus, like, you can look at how they got to the finals. You know how controversial it was in the Algeria game. But again, I feel like it'll be really, really tough for Cameroon, if I'm being truthfully honest.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So James, moving on to Group H, I'll kind of kick us off here. You've got Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and the Republic of Korea, South Korea. Interesting, really interesting, because again, to me, like, I think in my head, I'm like, well, there's one slot that's guaranteed, and then the other two, and then you actually start to think about it, you go, you know, I don't know. I said this going into the last Euros. This Portugal squad might be the strongest in Europe. If you actually look at it from top to bottom, you look at that starting 11. I mean, there's some serious talent.
My crazy thing about the talent's there, but they also have a thing about, to me, just underperforming.
I know.
Underperforming on so many occasions. You know, and like
the fact that they had to Cup winners though. Recently.
Yeah. But Jack, you look at qualifying, Jack. They got pipped by Serbia. And how many poor I get it, that was one controversial game where Ronaldo had a goal disallowed in the last minute that should have stood if VAR was there and all that sort of stuff there. But the fact that they were pipped by Serbia, it had me worried. And we're talking about immense talent from this Portugal team. We know what Uruguay has. We know the experience and the understanding of being there with players like Cavani and Suarez, and obviously Ghana versus Uruguay. Goodness gracious me, Jack.
That's going to be heated.
I'm gonna be there. Goodness gracious me. I can't wait to watch that. My only problem with it is that I feel Ghana will play with too much emotion.
Oh, 100%.
And
yeah, they might even just bring Suarez on just to cheese some people off, get some people sent off. But James, I'm going for Portugal. Again, like I said, you talk about, even if you talk about that back line before you even get into the attacking part of the pitch there, Rui Patricio is still an unbelievably good goalkeeper. Jose Sarr as well at Wolves has been immense recently. Still got Rafael Guerreiro, still got João Cancelo, still got Ruben Diaz. I'm not going to be overly shocked if Jose Font decides to tie up his laces again. Maybe he wants to go again because Jose Font can still do it. He's that guy. The midfield talent, unbelievable. And James, difference makers. Darwin Nunez is Portuguese, right? I'm pretty sure. I mean, he feels like he's kind of come out of the woodwork over the last 6 months or so, but Darwin Nunez has just gone for a lot of money. A guy called Cristiano Ronaldo.
Darwin Nunez is...
Oh, he's Uruguayan.
Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But there's talent across the board. And I don't know where you want to start. I don't know where you want to stop. Mate of yours, who's going to be joining, right? Vieira's going to be Vieira.
Yeah, but Jack, I don't know too much about him to come. I'm not going to come in and say, listen,
Neither do I. But if a team like Arsenal are willing to pay that kind of money for him, and the interest in him has been that high, I'm just saying, if we're talking about players we've not even really heard of and we don't know much about going for that kind of money, I mean, this Portugal squad is stacked.
But Jack, this is Jack, the same Arsenal team that paid 72 million for Pepe. So let's not talk about. So let's just wait and see. I'm just gonna wait and see what what he is about. But
yeah, look, there's not too much weight in that, and so that makes a lot of sense to me for Portugal. I'm always going to stick with the quality there. In that second spot there, I'm going Uruguay. Again, there's too much talent, and James, I think one of my little keys, I think, coming forward to this World Cup, I don't think Europe are ready for South America. I don't. I think that 9 times out of 10, 4 times out of 5. We're going to see a South American team go up against a European team. I think we're going to see a beaten European team. I think South America are ready to come back with a vengeance. In World Cups over the last couple of decades, we've seen the kind of dominance of Europe, and I think South America are about to come back.
They've had 4 straight winners: Italy, Spain, Germany, France. Maybe Jack, you're right there, and especially the top 2, Belgium. No, not Belgium. Brazil and Argentina. But yeah, Portugal, of course, there. I want to say Ghana. With my heart, I want to see Ghana go through there. Republic of Korea, I do think that they're good, but
you got one hell of a talisman up there as well with
Heung-min Son, but it doesn't sway me as much,
No, of course.
One player, Jack, shouldn't sway anybody to me. They need to have a good team around them.
Luis Suarez is more of a talisman. I mean, is Luis Suarez. Do we think Luis Suarez plays and starts and does all that stuff for Uruguay?
I don't, Jack.
Maybe off the bench. I don't know.
But again, Cavani, does he still have the legs to go again? We mentioned about this Uruguayan team. I got them guys finishing second again. Portugal top, and then. But I really want. Come on, Ghana. I'm not even Ghanaian, guys. I'm not Ghanaian.
But that Facundo Pellistri kid, right? Darwin Nunez, Cavani, Fede Valverde, Lucas Torreira. I mean, again, his stock's down quite a lot, but you got somebody like him. Jimenez, Godin is still there. Matias Vinha at Roma. Come on, I'm loving him these days, right?
Yeah. It's going to be Uruguay.
One of the best fullbacks in the world. But listen, I feel you there. So I think you're going Portugal top, Uruguay second, yeah.
And Jack, I won't even be surprised if Uruguay beat Portugal and go top. You know what? Let's flip it.
All right, fair enough. I respect it.
Top, Portugal second.
I respect it. I'm going to make that little change now. Here we are. So guys, just to kind of recap here, Group A, I've got Holland and Senegal. James has got Senegal and Holland, so we've kind of flipped there. Group B, I've got Wales, England. James has got England, Wales. Group C, James and I have got the same. Argentina top, Mexico second. Group D, same. It's the flip. I've got France going through top, Denmark second. James, Denmark, then France. E, the same. Germany and Spain. Germany top, Spain second. Group F, again, we do the flip-flop. I've got Croatia through top, Belgium second. James, Belgium top, Croatia second. Group G, James and I have both got Brazil going through top. I have Serbia second. James has got Switzerland. And Group H, again, the flip-flop. I have got Portugal going through top, Uruguay second. James has got Uruguay top, Portugal second. Guys at home, it's been a long one. Of course, we're trying to predict a lot of groups, Group A through H. drop your predictions down, because again, we don't want to hear it. Don't tweet us. Don't put it in the comments once it's started that, oh, you had this team. We need to see it before it starts. While you're down there as well, drop a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button as well if you are not subscribed already, and hit that bell as well, because then obviously we're getting into football season. We're only 2 months away from the Premier League. Transfers coming thick and fast. And guys, gearing up for the World Cup. James and I can't stop smiling. I know we're still far away.
It, Jack. I'm not gonna lie. I just really enjoyed the video. I was just talking about it. Oh, love it.
It's exciting, man. And like I said, guys, you watch out. Mark my words, South American teams, they're coming for your neck. Until next time, we'll see you.